Welcome back to Dead Good Book Reviews. I'm Judith and you're watching another episode of Overbooked here on the channel. This is the series where I talk about every single book on my shelves because I just need to reinvent myself sometimes. Today we're going to be talking about Travis Baldree's Legends and Lattes. Has every single fantasy book reviewer on the planet already made a video for this? Yes. Does Overbooked mean that I also make a video for this? Yes. I kind of can't believe I didn't do it already. I can't believe that I haven't already made a video. Maybe I have and I've forgotten. Before we start, some quick disclaimers. I bought this book myself, regardless of where books come from. Nobody's paying me to talk about books except my patrons, and all opinions are my own. I'm going to keep this as spoiler-free as humanly possible. Wouldn't really make a difference if I spoiled this for you, but if you do want to go in knowing absolutely nothing, pause the video, come back when you've read it, we'll talk then, and I will link the story graph for the book below in case you want to check out any user-generated content warnings. It's a pretty cozy book, there aren't that many. And the last thing I'll say is that I have read and reviewed the prequel to this, Bookshops and Bone Dust, so I might do some comparisons back and forth between them. I won't spoil Bookshops and Bone Dust, but I do have a review video up for that if you want to go check that out. This is a cozy, low-stakes fantasy romance from author and audiobook narrator Travis Baldree. This was his debut novel, I believe. It was originally self-published in February of 2022. It was then purchased by Tor, I think both in the UK and the US, but I can't remember completely. And as I say, this prequel, Bookshops and Bone Dust, came out in October or November of 2023. I can't quite remember, it's been a while. Plot summary. We have Viv, our main character here. She is an orc and she decides to give up adventuring after many, many long years of doing so, and instead to open a coffee shop. Coffee being a bit of a novelty, it's something that gnomes produce, as in they make coffee, they don't secrete it or anything. And she decides to open a coffee shop. It is a kind of low stakes, almost like Hallmark movie-esque thing, but instead of being a young lady who works in the city, she's an orc adventurer who opens a cafe. I am an absolute sucker for a fixer-upper kind of story. I love we're gonna turn this business around, especially in a fantasy novel, because you can kind of ignore all the economics of it. You can just say, yes, this would work. We don't need to worry about being in a recession. You can open a coffee shop and have a wonderful time. Maybe that's just me. I really liked seeing Viv put this coffee shop together from literally nothing. It's a really enjoyable story in that sense. As far as the story goes, it's very tropey. It's enjoyable for that reason. I think there's a reason that cozy fantasy tends to be very tropey. It's comforting, it's familiar, we love it. This is also a sapphic romance. I actually think it doesn't feature as much in the book as some things would make you feel like it would. That was almost a whole sentence. It's not a super sapphic-y romance book, there just is a sapphic romance in it, and it is with our main characters. I liked that it didn't take up the whole book. The book is much more about the coffee shop and found family elements of the story rather than being a romance, but it's still an enjoyable time, and if you like a sapphic romance, this is one. But as I say, for me, the found family moments of the story, which arguably does include that romance, were what really sold it to me. I loved all the different characters we met, old friends and new friends, and just support. I'm a sucker for it. I love found family. I will never not love found family. I also thought that the fantasy world building was really interesting. Obviously, Travis Baldree is drawing a lot from the world of kind of traditional high fantasy Dungeons and Dragons kind of energy behind it, but therefore trying to explain coffee and coffee shop things in a world that doesn't already have those. Very interesting. So instead of just buying a coffee machine, it's a gnomish coffee machine. So gnomes, known for being inventors, make coffee machines and ship them places. I actually really liked that. I felt like it fleshed out the world more than kind of generic fantasy tavern energy. But then getting into finding like fantasy names for baked goods that we have in the real world. Really interesting. Fantasy air conditioning. How do you cool a cafe? I liked those elements. It made it feel extra whimsical, I think is probably the best word. All of those world building elements combined, that whimsical, kind of slightly tongue-in-cheek look at a fantasy world. I'm here for it. I like it. On the other hand, the other side of the coin, as it were, we have a story that is incredibly low stakes, and that is intentional. However, I do think that means that some things don't feel particularly earned in the story, and everything gets a little bit wishy-washy towards the end. It's a little bit kind of... It's not Deus Ex Machina, but it's something adjacent to that, and it just doesn't feel totally satisfying a lot of the time because of those incredibly low stakes. It's why I liked Bookshops and Bone Dust more. The stakes were higher I enjoyed that more. That's also possibly a product of this being Travis Baldree's first book and just finding that balance. And also, you know, some people really love low stakes, but bear that in mind if you are planning on going in. Stakes are intentionally not high. I think possibly more of an issue a year ago. Less so now that most people have read it and kind of moved on and the trend cycle has shifted. But I do think it got a little bit overhyped to begin with. I bought this purely based off the cover art. I bought the original self-published edition. I pre-ordered it, had a wonderful time. So it meant I read it before it had kind of exploded online, and I think that made a big difference. So I wouldn't go into this thinking it's going to be utterly mind-blowing. It is a cozy fantasy book. It's really good. It's a cozy fantasy book. It's not the next great American novel, you know? In terms of other things you might want to read, Coffee, Milk and Spider Silk is a fantastic short story. It came out around about the same time as this and it got very much overshadowed by it, but it is fantastic. I have talked about it in a weekly reading video. I don't think I've made a review for it because it's a short story, but it's great. Very, very similar to this. Bookshops and Bone Dust, if you haven't already read it or planned to read it, highly recommend if you liked this. I would say you probably can read it before this if you really wanted to, but it's obviously not technically the publication order. Whenever I'm talking about cozy, nice found family things, I always talk about the Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. So fantastic, love it so much, reading it very soon, excited about it. Then I throw in a bit of TJ Klune as well. Less so his latest stuff, but more those earlier kind of cozy books, found family. They're good as well. Overall, would I say you should read Legends and Lattes? I think, yes, it is a good book. It is not phenomenal, amazing, blow your mind, but it is very good cozy fantasy. It would make a great autumn-winter read. Yes. Have you already read this? Do you have plans to? Let me know down in the comments below. If you've got any similar books you want to recommend, please plonk them down there as well. I would love to hear them. While you're commenting, if you haven't already, please do subscribe. It makes me feel loved and appreciated. You can also come hang out on Discord where we have chill chats about books. I'd like to say an enormous thank you to all the ghosts who haunt me over on Patreon. They support the channel and in return get early access to videos, bonus content, live streams and more. If you'd like to join their number, that's linked below as well. Thank you so much to you for watching. That's all from me, and I will see you in the next one. It's gonna be some bloopers now. The dog might be coming for a visit. She's at very least going to do a big shake, I think. Yeah, you're very predictable.